Okay, so today I will talk about Ausubel's assimilation theory, which is the subject that we got. And first, I will begin by talking a bit about the biography of David P. Ausubel, which is the man who invented this theory. He was born in 1918 and grew up in Brooklyn, New York. He attended the University of Pennsylvania and majored in psychology, and later had 3 psychiatric residencies. After that, he earned a PhD in developmental psychology from the Columbia University. And in the process before he retired, he actually published like a lot of academic papers and contributed a lot on his field. So eventually he retired in 1973 and he only practiced from then on. Later in 1976, he received the Tornick Award from the American Psychological Association for the distinguished psychological contributions to education. After that he retired from professional life in 1994, and eventually he passed away on July 9 of 2008. So his theory proposes that there are 2 ways of learning. One is meaningful learning and the other is rote learning. So meaningful learning, the theory mainly focuses on how to achieve meaningful learning. This way of learning is the process where students assimilate new information that they get to fully understand and that they can relate to previous knowledge that they had. While rote learning is only a process where they memorize the information without fully understanding it or being able to relate the way that it works with all knowledge. So the main differences between meaningful and rote learning is that meaningful learning is not arbitrary and is not verbatim. This means that it's not only a repetition of the information that they have learned, but is rather a fully understanding of it. This meaningful learning makes an effort to link new knowledge with higher order concepts, while rote learning does not try to do this. Knowledge that is learned by meaningful learning, guys, is retained longer than rote learning. It also makes meaningful learning makes learning new related topics easier than rote learning. Rote learning makes learning sorry it doesn't add any capacity to improve learning in the future, and it actually may be detrimental to the process of learning. Also, I have to point out that meaningful learning can be applied in many contexts because it's very flexible, while rote learning is not the same. It cannot be applied in the same way in diverse contexts. So to experience meaningful learning, guys, a student needs to know how to examine, perceive, interpret, and experience information. And there are many strategies to do this, and they mainly work around the use of advanced organizers. An advanced organizers, guys, is a prepared, slightly abstract passage that you give to your students in advance to the material that is going to be learned. Is kind of used as a warm-up for the lesson. So Ausubel proposes that there are 3 phases of learning. The first one is the presentation of said advanced organizer. This is an introduction to the topic, which is kind of like passive, okay? So first you give your students an advanced organizer, which may be a picture, a mind map, or a table, or some other advanced organizer, and you ask them questions related to the topic that they're about to learn. So for example, in the book, it gives the example of teaching family members, and the advanced organizer that the book suggests is a picture of the Simpsons. In that picture, the student will have to recognize which member of the Simpsons family is the mother, which is the dad, which is the son, the sister, etc. So when they start to recognize the parts of the topic, you can finally move on to the second phase, which is the presentation of the learning task. This part is where you inform the students the objective that the class has, and uh, you make them solve an activity which is related to the topic. This is kind of like after doing the organizer, this is where you ask your students to maybe write their own family members as a list in a sheet of paper. And finally, after they have done that activity, you have to move to the strengthening of the cognitive information. This is mainly making your students practice the information that they have just assimilated by asking and explaining this information to each other. So this is like a mental exercise to make them really comprehend the lesson. So that's all from the Ausubel's assimilation theory, guys. I hope you have really learned something from this and that you like the presentation.